Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. For us to create the smallest number, we need to pick the smallest digits at the start of the number. So the smallest digit is 3, then the next smallest digit is 4, next smallest digit is 5, then the next smallest digit is 8. But it wants it to be an odd number, and this is an even number. So we have to move that 8 forward one and have that 5 at the end. So the smallest odd number is 3,485. If there were 39 people on the bus and 4 people got off the bus, that would leave 35 people remaining on the bus. So the fraction of people staying on the bus is 35 out of the 39 people on the bus. So our answer is, as a fraction, 35 over 39. We can't cancel that any further. For this question, it's really important that we understand what the words sum and product mean. Now, sum just means add, and product just means times. So we're going to start by adding the 5 and the 4. So that will equal 9. And then what we're going to do is find the product of 9 and 7. So we're going to multiply them together. 9 times 7, which is 63. So our answer is 63. So we can draw out our place value grid to help us out with this question. We've got thousands, hundreds, tens and units. So we'll need another one there. So thousands go here, hundreds here, tens here, and then units here. So this says 2,000. So a 2 will go in the thousands column. 30, so that'll be a 3 there, and 2. So we need to fill in a 0 here to keep that 2 as 2,000, otherwise that would collapse and it'd become 232. So the answer is 2032. When collecting terms, you've got to collect like terms. So we've got 13x, we've got a 3y. Now they're not like terms, but the 13x is a like term to the 7x, they're both x's, and the 3y is a like term to the 2y. So let's put the x's together, 13 lots of x plus 7 lots of x, and let's put the y's together, 3 lots of y plus 2 lots of y. So altogether we've got 13 lots of x plus 7 lots of x, well that's going to be 20 lots of x. And for the y's we've got 3 lots of y plus 2 lots of y, that's going to be 5 lots of y. So our answer is 20x plus 5y. So we're going to start by writing 5 over 9 as a decimal, and to do that we just need to do 5 divided by 9, which will be 0.5 recurring. And to convert between a decimal and a percentage, we just times by 100. So we're going to get that 0.5 recurring, and we're going to times it by 100, and that will equal 55.555 recurring. And to the nearest percent, that's going to be 56, because that 5 will move that 5 up by 1. If we write in how many sides each shape has, triangle has 3, quadrilateral 4, pentagon 5, hexagon 6, you'll notice the number of vertices is twice the amount of each of them. So if a shape has 15 sides, we just times that by 2, and it will have 30 vertices. The first thing to do when working out what angle things need to be on a pie chart is to add up the frequencies. So we're going to do 14 plus 7 plus 3, and we find out that that's 24. Then we're going to find the angle that one item would be. So one item is going to be, well, there are 360 degrees in a triangle, and there are 24 items. So we're going to do 360 divided by 24, and that gives us 15 degrees. So each item is worth 15 degrees, or will take up 15 degrees. So to find out the angle for red, well, we've got 14 items, times it by 15, and that will give us 210 degrees. And we're just going to times each of these by 15, which will be 105, and the final one times 15 is 45 degrees. Add them up and they add up to 360, which is good. They need to add up to 360. So we got our protractor, rest it on the pie chart. Now we know 180 is down here, so the first thing we're going to do is just mark that on, because the first angle is going to be 210, so we know that's 180 so far. So I'm going to turn my protractor around, and from 180, 210 will be another 30, so I'm just going to plot that on, and then I'm going to join it up. So start at the center and join that up, and we're going to stop when the circle stops. Then to do 105, we're going to put our protractor in the middle, and we're going to look at 105, which will be up here, and then we're just going to join it up with a straight line. And then we're just going to check the last angle, and so if I put my protractor on it, and it is 45 degrees. Perfect. Now, an important step to not miss is you need to label them. And so the first one is red, the second one is blue, and then the final one is other. In this question, we're given the output as 53. So we know that the output was 53. So now we've kind of got to work backwards. And when we work backwards through a function machine or a number machine, we do the opposite of what it says. So this first one says plus 9, but when we go backwards, we do the opposite, which is take away 9. So we do 53, take away 9, which is 44. Now we can check that by going the other way. So 44 plus 9 is 53, so that works. The next one says times 4, so the opposite would be divided by 4. So we're going to do 44 divided by 4, and that gives us an input of 11. Now let's check the whole thing. We put in 11. 11 times 4 is 44. 44 plus 9 is 53, so we know we've got it correct. So the word integer just means whole number, so we're looking for all the whole numbers that x can be. Well, it says here that x is between -2 and 3. So we can first of all fill out that -1, 0, 1, and 2 are definitely values that x can be. The next thing we look at is, can it be -2? Well, there's no little equal sign underneath the inequality, so it can't be equal to -2. But there is one for the 3, so it can actually equal 3. Let's rewrite this expression, but with a time sign in, so v times w squared. Now w squared just means times by itself, so we can rewrite that as v times w times w. Okay, so we know v is -10, so -10, and we know w is -4, so it's times -4 times -4. Okay, so when you multiply, it doesn't matter which order we do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do these ones first, and I'm going to ignore that times -4 at the end. So -10 times -4, that's a minus times a minus, which is a positive, 10 times 4, which is 40, times -4. Now we're going to do 40 times -4, so it's a positive times a negative, so that's going to be a negative. And 40 times 4, well, 4 times 4 is 16, so 40 times 4 is 160. So it's going to be -160. So we have an original amount, and this represents 100% of the original amount. The new price, new amount, represents 113% because it has said that it has gone up by 13%. So it has increased by 13%. And as a value, that increase is £1,287. So it's 13% of the original. It's gone up 13% of the original price. So what we're going to do is we're going to work out what 1% of the price increase is. Instead of 13%, we're going to work out what 1% is. And we're going to do that by dividing the amount by 13, and we get 99. So 1% represents £99, so 1% of the original represents £99. But the new amount is 113%, so we need to times the £99 by 113, which gives us £11,187. So the picture is now worth £11,187. So you do need to know the parts of a circle. So the full distance around the circle is called the circumference. If you've got a little bit of it, it's an arc. If you've got a line across it, that would be a chord. And the part that's kind of trapped in there is called a segment. Then if you've got a line across the circle going through the centre, that's a diameter. If you've got a line just going to the centre, if I can draw it properly, then that's called a radius. If you've got a line that touches the circle just on one point, like that, that's a tangent. But in this case, we have a sector. To answer this question, we need to remember the formula for the area of a trapezium. And the area is half times a plus b times the height. And a and b are the parallel sides. Doesn't matter which way around you label them. And the height, h, is at 90 degrees to a and b. So the question tells us the area, so we can put that in, 4.165. A we've decided was 3.4 and b was 1.5, and then h is given to us as x. So we're going to have to solve this. So we put our lines down. So we're going to first of all deal with the half here, I think. So what I can do is I can just deal with this bracket here. So I don't need to do anything both sides yet. So we're going to keep that 4.165 there as it is. And we're going to do 3.4 plus 1.5, which is 4.9. Then we're going to do half times 4.9, which is 2.45. And then all we need to do is divide that 2.45 both sides. Now we do have videos about how to solve with algebra, so if you're not quite sure what we're doing here, then you can watch those videos. And that gives us an answer of 1.7. And we can actually check that. If you put in half times 3.4 plus 1.5 close bracket times 1.7, you should get the answer of 4.165. For this question, it's really useful to label angles that you know on the diagram, even if you can't go straight to the answer. So I know that if I extend this line here, but let's do a bit of a better job of that. So if I extend this line here, the north line, then I can work out what this angle is, because it's going to be the same as this angle here. And the reason is it's Z angles, which are alternate angles. So I know that this angle is 35 degrees because of alternate angles. The question asks to find the bearing of C from B. So we're at B and we're finding the angle that C makes from north going clockwise. Well, it's going to be this angle here we're looking for. And if we look, we already know what this side is, which is 180 degrees because it's a straight line. We've got the 35 degrees there, and we've got the 21 degrees. So it's going to be 180 plus 21 plus 35. It doesn't matter which order we add them, which will equal 236 degrees. For each of these options, try and construct in your head the triangles that would be made from these lengths. And I'm going to give an example for question D, or for option D. And I'm going to construct my triangle just with sticks. So we're going to start off with our first stick, which is 19 centimeters. Then we're going to do another stick, which is going to be 37 centimeters. and we've got one last stick, which is 61 centimeters. Now, looking at the first two sticks, the actual combined distance of them, so when we add them together, so be 19 centimeters plus 37 centimeters, is 56 centimeters. So that's the combined width of them. And you can see that that actually wouldn't be able to create a triangle if the third stick is 61 centimeters. So the side here could combine with this side. So we could move this whole stick here onto this side here, but we can't actually make a triangle with it because the two lengths that we've got won't ever reach the end bit here. They just won't ever reach that bit to be able to create the triangle. And I'm just going to put that back. So our answer is option D. So we have a set of vertically opposite angles here and here. And we're going to start with those because we have to find out what M is before we can work out what X is. And vertically opposite angles are always equal, so we've got 13M plus 39 is going to equal 2M plus 149. And we're going to get our lines in there because we're going to solve this. And to solve this, we first of all take away the smaller amount of M because we've got M's on both sides. We can't really cope with that when we're solving. And so we've got a 13M and a 2M. So we're going to remove the 2M. We're going to take that away from both sides to start off. And so we're left with 11M plus 39. And we've just got the 149 on the right hand side. Next we're going to remove the number. So take away 39 from both sides. And we've got 11M is equal to 110. And then we're going to divide both sides by 11 to find out what M is. So M therefore equals 10. So we know if M equals 10, we can then work out X. And the way we can do that is the fact that this one and this one are both on a straight line. So they are both on this straight line here. So we know that they've got to add up to 180. So let's write that down. 13M plus 39 plus X is equal to 180 degrees, or I don't normally put that in for the working out, I always put that in for the answer. So we can solve this, or well, first of all we know what M is, so it'd be 13 times N, which is 130, and then we can solve this. So let's get my solving lines in. And so that's going to be 169 plus X equals 180. And we're going to just take that away from both sides, the 169. So we've got X equals 11. So the value of X will be 11 degrees. To answer this question, I'm going to do a quick number line. And I'm going to put the 12 meters on my number line. And I'm going to think what the next number down would be that it could have rounded to. Well, it's 10 to the nearest meter, so the next number it could have rounded to is 11. And to find the minimum it could have been before rounding to 12, all we need to do is find the halfway point between 11 and 12, which is obviously going to be 11.5. So our answer is 11.5 meters. There's a lot going on with this question, so I'm going to start off just having a look at the total amount of money. So I'm going to do this in pence, so 2,115 pence. And if each merit point is worth 3 pence, then we can work out the amount of merit points by doing 2,115 divided by 3. So that gives us 705. So there's 705 merit points. Next, have a look at the question here, this part here, where it says James has X merit points. Sarah has 4 times as many points as James, so she's going to have 4x. Robert has 69 fewer merit points than James, so he's going to have x minus 69. And we know that that equals 705 because we've just worked that out. And this feels like a solving coming on. So we've got x plus 4x plus x, which is 6x. Minus 69 equals 705. And we're going to add 69 to both sides. So we've got 6x equals 774. Then we're going to divide 6 both sides. And so we've got x equals 129. So x equals 129. That means James has 129. Sarah has 4 times more, so she will have 516. And Robert has 69 fewer, so we're going to take 69 away from that, and that will equal 60. So let's look through this question to see what information we're given and what information we're looking for. So we're given the acceleration is 13 meters per second squared. We're also given the distance is 19, and we're also given the end velocity, which is v, is 34. And we're looking for the initial velocity. So which of these formulae include a, s, v, and u? That's got a t in it, that's got a t in it, so it's going to be this one here. So let's write that out. V squared equals u squared plus 2as. So that would be 34 squared equals u squared, because that's the one we're looking for, plus 2 times 13 times 19. Okay, so let's just work these parts out. And so we've got 2 times 13 times 19, which is what, 494. And it turns into a solving part, so we're just going to solve this. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 494 from both sides. And so we're left with 662 equals u squared. Then we're just going to square root both sides. And so square root of that is going to be 25.729 blah blah blah. And it says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so it's going to be 25.73. The first thing we need to do is work out the area of the floor. And you'll notice that this is a trapezium. So with a trapezium, the formula is half a plus b times h. And a and b are the parallel sides. So these ones are the parallel sides. And the height is the one connecting the two bases, the two parallel sides. So we're going to start off by writing down the formula. So it'd be half a plus b h. So half times 2.8 plus 1.2 times 11. And when we do that, we get 22. So the area of the floor is 22 meters squared. And it says here that the tiles are sold in packs which cover 3 meters squared. So if each pack covers 3 meters squared, we're going to do 22 divided by 3, which will be 7.33 packs that we need. Now obviously you can't get 0.3 of a pack or 0.33 of a pack, so we're going to have to get 8 packs and just have some left over. So we'll need 8 packs in total. Okay, next thing we look at is the fact that the Jenny has a 25% discount. So we need to find out what 25% discount would do to the £18.60 for the tiles, or for the pack of tiles. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get the £18.60 and we're going to times it by 0.75. So we're just going to find 3/4 of it because she has a 25% discount, and that would be 1,395. So that's the tiles are going to cost £13.95. Now I've done this in pence and I've kind of muddled it together here, so really let's just go back because I've kind of done this in pence. So that would be 1,860 times 0.75, and so each pack will cost 1,395, and the reason we're doing this in pence is the answer needs to be given in pence, so I might as well just make that conversion now. And so it's going to be 8 lots of the 1,395 pence packs, which will cost in total 11,160 pence, or £111.60. But Jenny has £100 to spend, and we're asked how much extra does she need. So we're going to do the 11,160, take away the 10,000 pence that she has, which will give us 1,160 pence. So she needs to find £11.60 or 1,160 pence from somewhere. So we know that James knows that he has a square, so we can actually get rid of all of this bit. It's not relevant at all to the question. And the question asks, what is the probability that the square is blue? Well, there are 3 blue squares, so it will be 3 over, and how many are there in total? Well, it says the total is 17. So the answer is 3 over 17. So we're going to first of all work out where 9 is on the y-axis. Well, we've got 8 here and 10 here, so 9 will be halfway in between. And what we're going to do now is just draw a line across at 9, and then wait until it hits the line, and then we're going to draw a line down, and you can see here that x is 1. So our answer is that x equals 1. So the first thing to do with these questions is figure out what information we have. So the question says that we are accelerating a toy car at 6 meters per second squared. So the acceleration is going to be 6 meters per second squared. And it says it's going to be for 14 meters. Now, that sounds like a distance, but in the context of these questions, because we're talking in vector terms, it's called displacement. And weirdly, we use the letter S to show displacement. So displacement is going to be 14 meters. Now, it looks like we don't have any more, but actually it says from rest. So the initial velocity, therefore, would be 0, because from rest means it wasn't moving at all at the start. We're looking for the final velocity, so we're looking for v. So let's have a look at which formula we're going to use. So it's not going to be the top one because we're not given time. It's not going to be the second one because we're not given time. So it's going to be that third one. So we've got v squared equals u squared plus 2as. So we're looking for v, so I'm just going to leave that v squared there. U squared, well, that's just going to be 0 squared plus 2 times the a, which is 6, times the s, which is 14. And when you do that, you get 168. And we've got v squared equals, so we need to do a bit of solving here. We need to do the inverse of square, which is square root. So we're just going to square root both sides to get what v equals. So square root of 168 is 12.961, etc. And we're going to round to 2 decimal places, which will be 12.96. When translating, we translate with vectors, and the top number in a vector tells us how far right, and the bottom number tells us how far up we go. And to translate a shape, you always pick a point. Now I always pick the top leftmost point, so I'm going to pick this one. And looking at the vector, it says we're going to go 2 to the right. So we do 2 jumps to the right, 1, 2. Now looking at the bottom, because it's minus 4, instead of going up 4, we're going to go down 4. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So our new coordinate for the top will be here. And the next thing we need to do is draw in the shape. So that's the top left part of the shape. And so I'm going to draw in the shape. And it's 4 across. So it should go here. And draw in the shape from there. Make sure that you know that coordinate is the top left part of our shape, and it says to label it B. We know that all linear graphs follow y equals mx plus c, with the m being the gradient and the c being the y-intercept. So let's have a look at what the y-intercept is for the equation we're given. Well, it's going to be -5. So we know it's going to hit the y-axis at -5, so we can plot that. And we need to find out what the gradient is. So the gradient is the number before the x, so it's half. So it means for every 1 it goes to the right, it's going to go up a half because it's positive. So the next coordinate will be at -4.5. It's gone up a half. And then the next coordinate will be -4. So it would be -4.5 and then -4. So this isn't going to be the easiest one to draw, but we need to make sure that the graph goes for the whole, or the line goes for the whole of the graph. So it should look something like this, going through our coordinates and carrying on for the whole graph. To convert from meters to centimeters, we times by 100. But here we're asked to convert between meters cubed and centimeters cubed. So we times it by 100 per dimension. Meters cubed and centimeters cubed is volume, which is 3 dimensions. So what we do is we times it by 100 3 times, times 100, times 100, times 100, or times by 100 cubed. So we get our amount, 0.15, times it by 100 cubed, and that will give us 150,000. So our answer is 150,000 centimeters cubed. So I'm going to write out the equation again just to give us a bit more space. And the rule we have here is if we have an x on both sides, which we do in here, we pick the smallest one to get rid of. So we've got a 12x and a 7x. And so the smaller number, or the smaller x, would be the 7x. So we're going to get rid of that first. So we've got our lines in, and we're going to take away 7x both sides. And so 12x take away 7x is 5x. And the 7x is gone, so it's just equals to 46. Then we've got the -4 to get rid of, so we're going to add 4 both sides. And then we've got this times 5 here, so we're going to divide 5 both sides. So we've got x equals 50 divided by 5, which is 10. The formula for the area of a circle is area equals pi times r squared. Now in this question we're given what the area is, which is 706.86. And we need to find out what the radius is. So I'm going to get my lines in. And I'm going to start by getting rid of that times pi. So I'm going to divide both sides by pi and get the r squared on its own. So when I divide that by pi, I get 225.000 blah blah blah. Very close to 225. Then I want to get rid of this squared here. So to do that I do the inverse, which is square root. And square root of 225 is 15, and the square root of 225.000 blah blah blah, whatever was in our calculator, is going to be 15.000, etc. So pretty much 15. 0.000, but it says it wants it to the nearest integer. Integer is a whole number, so my answer would be just 15. So for this question, what we need to do is factorise 4t plus 6. Now factorise means put it into brackets. So if I try, what I can do is I can actually put a 1 on the outside here. So 1 times 4t plus 6 is 4t plus 6, but the question clearly states that it is higher than 1. So we need to find another number that's higher than 1 to factorise this with. So if we look at 4t and 6, well, they're both in the 2 times table. So I can put a 2 on the outside here. 2 times 2t is 4t, and 2 times 3 is 6. So what we can do is we can just check that out with smiles and rainbows. Put all my times down there to remind me to times it. So 2 times 2t is 4t, 2 times 3 is 6. So that works because that is the same as this in the question. So we know that 2 times 2t plus 3 works. In fact, it's the only one that works with it being an integer. So we therefore know that the known side, because it says it's a known number, is 2, and the other side will be 2t plus 3. And then when you multiply them together, you get the area of 4t plus 6. So our answer, because it says the length is the known number, so that's the length, then we're finding the width, which is this one here. So it's 2t plus 3. So to find the area of a rectangle, we just multiply the width and the length. So that's what we're going to do here. But whenever you have an expression representing a length or a width or anything really, you just put brackets around it. So we go u minus 2 times u plus 9. Okay, and the way we do this is with our grid. And I'm just going to draw out the grid. And so we've got u minus 2, and we're multiplying it by u plus 9. Don't want too many for some reason. And so we've got u times u, which is u squared, u times minus 2, which is minus 2u, 9 times u, which is 9u, and 9 times minus 2, which is minus 18. And what we're going to do is we're just normally going to be able to add these ones together. So our answer will be u squared, and then we're going to do 9u plus minus 2u. Well, that's just going to be 9u take away 2u, which is 7u. So plus 7u, and then minus 18 at the end. The word truncated means that we just literally cut off the next number along. So if we imagine this is our number, we just cut it off. So it's not the same as rounding. We just don't change this digit at all. We just cut off the remaining digits. So the smallest number it could be before it was cut off is 79.500000. The largest number it could have been, well, it could have been 79.5999, etc. So that's the largest it could have been. So to do our error interval, well, the smallest it could have been is 79.5, and it could have been 79.5, and we'll call this x. But we're looking at any number that is less than 79.6. So any number that's less than 79.6. If it was 79.6, then when we cut it off, it would show as 79.6. So we're looking for the acceleration between 3 and 5 seconds. And acceleration is calculated by the change in velocity. So we're going to see how much the velocity's changed. So it started at 90 and it's gone up to 200, so that would be 110, over the time. Now the time is 2 seconds, so it's going to be 110 divided by 2, which is 55, and the units will be the meters per second, because that's kilometers, sorry, that's velocity, per second, or meters per second squared. And so it's 55 meters per second squared. So the way this formula works is we have m, which is the final amount. The 2000 here is our initial amount. The decimal in here is our multiplier, and the power here is the amount of years. So the way multipliers work is they are the percentage divided by 100. So if we go the other way, and times it by 100 to make it back into a percentage, it will be 102.9%. Now it says, what is the interest rate of the bank? Well, the interest rate is always going to be 100%. Well, this 102.9% is 100% plus the interest rate, which will equal the 102.9%. So the interest rate is going to be the 2.9%. You always start off with 100%. So if I put £5 into my bank, I've got 100% of that £5, and then the interest rate is on top of that 100%. So our answer here will be 2.9%. The curved surface area of a cone is found through the formula pi r L. R is the radius of the circle at the bottom, which is this 3 here, and L is the slanted length, which is this one here. So it's like the height, but instead of being perpendicular to the base, it's just the slanted length down the side of the cone. And so using this formula, pi times 3 times 15 is going to be 141.371 blah blah blah, and 2 decimal places, that is 141.37. We don't have to for this question, but it might be helpful to draw a Venn diagram for this. And we've got green and brown leaves, so we'll have green on the left and brown on the right. So green and brown. And we're told that there are 19 green and 15 brown and 6 that were not green and brown. So the only number we can put in is the 6 on the outside of the Venn diagram. We're told that 19 are green, but we don't know which, either they're in here or a bit of both. So what we can do is we can label the center X, and we can say that there are 19 take away X just green, because they could have been both green and brown. And for the brown we can do the same, so it'd be 15 minus X. And for the next step, we know that all of them together add up to 32, because it says in the question. So we're going to add all of these, the 19 minus X, the X, the 15 minus X, and the 6 together, and we know that equals 32. And let's get our solving lines in. So we've got minus X and minus X, that's be a minus X. And we've got 19 plus 15 plus 6, which will be 40, equals 32. We're going to take away the 40 both sides. And we can just times by minus 1 both sides to make them both positive. So now we know X is 8, we can start filling in the Venn diagram. So it's 19 take away 8, which will be 11. X is 8, so we know that that's 8, and 15 take away 8, which is 7. So find the amount that were green and brown. We know it's going to be 8. We're told here that y is proportional or inversely proportional to x, so we put 1 over x because it's inversely, and inversely means it's going to be proportional to 1 over. Going to replace that proportionality sign for an equals, and to do that we need to multiply the right hand side by k, so it becomes k over x. And we're told that x is 7.9 when y is 10.27, so we're just going to substitute those both in so that we can find out what k is, what our constant is. I'll do a bit of simple solving by multiplying both sides by 7.9. When I do that, I get that k is 10.4. Go rewrite our equation we wrote here, but this time with our k value in, which is 10.4. And we're asked to find out what y is when x is 8. So we just do 10.4 divided by 8. And when we do that, we get 1.3. So we're going to start off by finding the multiplier. And we start off with 100%. It's an increase of 3.4%, so we get increase 3.4%. and so that would be 103.4%. And then we need to make that a multiplier, so we're dividing it by 100, and so that would be 1.034. So anytime we times a number by 1.034, we'll increase it by 3.4%. So it says that we start off with 1,700. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in 1,700 into our calculator, then we're going to press the equals button. Now what that does is it stores the 1,700 in memory. Then every time we press the ANS button, it's going to remember what the current number is, and we're going to then times that by 1.034. So at the moment the current number stored in memory is the 1,700, times by 1.034 will increase the 1,700 by 3.4. Press it once and it gives us £1,757.80. Now, when we press it again, that would be after the second year. So it puts in the 1,757.80, it puts that in as this answer here, and then raises that by 3.4%. So we've got to keep pressing equals and count how many times we press equals to get to £1,743.26. And you'll find that on the fourth press of the equals button, you will get £1,943.26. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.